up in like a very small town in
Right.
India,
Yeah.
and I lived in Florida and Texas for like 5 years. So I've seen my share of crazy shit.
I was going to say there's going to be a lot of crazy shit in Florida and Texas.
Yeah, I've.
Was you got a gator chewing on your Ethernet or something?
Something outside.
You want me to? Yeah, you want me to host the live stream? I can do it if you like.
No, I got it. It's probably just. Let me go out here.
Comcast doing their thing again?
I got wow. I got 500 megabits, so this kind of pisses me off.
Jesus fuck!
Wow.
100.
Yo,
What?
I'm running a 3 megabits line.
I'm gonna check mine right now and see what I
I
get.
had to sacrifice my download for upload, man, because of my gaming stuff. I had to live stream and I had to upload videos to YouTube for my gaming thing. So I had to sacrifice my download to get a decent upload speed.
Nice. Oh shit! I should like bring my PS4 here and like update it and all that stuff. Cause holy shit, I'm getting 21 megabytes per 21.9 megabytes per second.
And some right, and then stream it while we read our Bibles. Let's do that. I vote for that.
If I'm behind recording my show. If I'm reading anything, it's the Quran.
The Quran.
What was that show called again?
Full Quranic.
That's a nuts. I've been listening to that. It's crazy.
It is. It really is. It's some fucked up shit. And I haven't even got to the really juicy bits yet. I'm just in the boring parts.
Right.
You planned on a sequel or a spin-off of the Hadith?
I don't know if I'll get into that, as there's so many of them. I'll see where I end up. I may, because I found out chatting with somebody on my Facebook yesterday that there is a translation of the Quran out that was written by an Ahmadi, and they are like really shit on by other Muslims. So I might grab one of those and see if it's any different, and maybe if it's different, maybe do like the Ahmadi version. I don't know.
It wouldn't be that much different.
I don't know. I just like to get through the original first. Well, the one I have was translated in the 1920s, and
hold on.
Of course.
Spell this Ahmadi.
AHMAD. Yeah, I don't know. I have to see it in front of me.
Yeah, the actual pronunciation is Ahmadi is CH.
Okay.
They get the name from their from the founder Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who claimed to be the reincarnation of Jesus that eventually resurrected or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty new to all of this. Like, to gear up for my show, I read 2 biographies of Muhammad and studied a little bit about what the origins of the Quran were, like how they put it together and all of that. But yeah, other than that, like there's some specific Quranic verses that I have actually studied extensively, but I've never read the whole thing. So, and I've chosen to read it in chronological order, other than the order that they publish it in.
Yeah, like the good thing is you don't have to read at least half the stuff. It's all like half the stuff is Old Testament, so yeah, good.
I'm still gonna read it. I have been.
Well,
and the reason
there's minor differences. There's minor differences.
Like, but the way it's done though is so, like, I'm finding this especially with fucking Moses. I'm so sick of Moses. It'll be like a part. They'll talk, maybe 10 or 20 verses talking about Moses, right? But it'll give very sparse details about the story, and then 3 chapters later, you come across the entire story again, but they'll add in something that wasn't there last time. And then 2 chapters later, you'll come across the whole story again, and then they'll leave out something from the first time, but add 2 other things that weren't there before. So it's repetitive, and it's there, and Lot was the same thing. And like the first time it mentions Lot, it actually says, it doesn't say that they left his wife behind or that she got turned into salt or any of that stuff. It said they didn't leave anyone behind. And then the second time around, it says that they left an old woman behind, but it doesn't say that that was his wife, or there's no mention of salt. Of course, they completely leave out the incest part at this point. They may bring it in later. I don't know, because I'm only 50 surahs in, and that's keeping in mind that the surahs, their word for chapter, the surahs, some of them are only like 6 verses long. So some of them are extreme. Like my first episode, I did 20 surahs. And then my last episode that I did was I barely managed to squeak in 1 surah in half an hour. So some of them are quite a lot larger than others.
Yeah.
But
do you ever need any info on the stuff? I've been looking into it for
yeah,
like 6 months.
Steve was telling me that you were fairly knowledgeable, because it's a while ago now, because you and I just never managed to get in touch. Well, I honestly don't pay a whole lot of attention to Google Plus, but he was trying to garner up some more views on this channel before the demonetization set in, and I said, well, let's do something about Islam, because that's kind of my thing right now. And he said, oh, I should get in touch with you, and then shit happened and it never came to fruition. But yeah, he did mention that you'd been studying up.
So like especially, I don't know if you'd seen the one debate that Steve moderated with me and another guy, but it was a Muslim guy. He called himself Marshall Mathers.
Yeah, he did.
And we didn't even debate Islam. It was just the topic of is Jesus God, and I could tell this was his first time debating. He clearly did not know how to handle the format and what we were doing. Yeah, then afterwards we continued having conversations, and he tries to bring up the Quran and mentions things, and when I bring up objections, and he just immediately dismisses the knowledge that I get, even from Islam's very own scholars themselves, as to what they say. In fact, I even made a video responding to the story of the setting sun and the Dhul Qarnayn. Have you gotten
Dhul Qarnayn? Yeah, not in the Quran, but I've seen some videos on it.
Guy who's trying to be new online named Q9 Dawa, who tried to...
Oh, lordy. Oh,
yeah.
Q9 Dawa. Nice.
He made a video trying to respond to David Wood's video on the subject, and he's like, doing the whole thing saying, okay, go to an actual sheikh for the knowledge and this stuff. And I'm like, okay, how about Al-Jalalain, Al-Razi, Al-Kindi, the Yusuf Ali? Let's go to these guys, because these guys would be on my side of the... I actually start quoting them. And one of the best things that I would recommend for you to check out is a Tafsir online, besides Ibn Kathir, a guy named Maududi, Maududi.
Oh, I think I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of it. I've used altafsir.com.
Oh yeah, that's
everybody in there. I just posted in the stream chat, by the way. I did a flow chart on the typical debate with a Muslim. You might find that entertaining.
because the thing is that the main thing is not just simply, they're definitely different than how you'll approach some of the sola scriptura Protestant Christians. They're definitely going to rely on the scholars at this point, and two of the best ones that will be on your side on this for most of the stuff are two of them. And that is Ibn Kathir, one that's very considered reliable, though the other one that's more reliable than him, but is the only way you can access it is on that Al-Tafsir website, is if you go read it in the Arabic only, because it hasn't been translated into English, and that is Al-Tabari.
Oh, yes. I'm familiar with 5 Tafsir, because one of the main debate points that I use all the time, and it's my favorite thing to debate with Islam. I don't know if you're familiar with Quran 65:4.
Sounds familiar.
That's the one that, so you kind of have to use it in concert with a couple other verses. There's one
64:5.
Yeah, or no, 65:4. Oh, sorry. The first one, which verse number escapes me, but the whole thing is to do with divorce. And if a woman because Islam is totally fine with divorce. So it's a woman who is divorced or divorcing, and how long does she have to wait before she can remarry? So it says that if a woman is divorced and she did not sleep with her husband, so she's a virgin, she doesn't have to wait, because the whole thing revolves around pregnancy, right? They don't want somebody who could be pregnant getting divorced and remarrying so that they don't know who the father is, right? Because that was paramount at the time. So if she's a virgin, she doesn't have to wait. She can get remarried immediately. Now, if she isn't a virgin, if she did have sex with her first husband, there is a verse 33:49 the first one is 33:49, that if she's a virgin, go ahead, get remarried. The other one I don't remember, but it says if she isn't a virgin, she has to wait 3 menstrual periods before she can remarry. So that's going to be pretty sure that she's not pregnant. Go ahead, get married. And then somebody said, well, what if she's not having a period? So 65:4 addresses if there is no period. It says if she is too old, already pregnant, or has not had a period, she must wait 3 months to remarry. And so where the tafsirs, because, has not had a period, the language in English, at least, it sounds very much has not yet had a period, but it doesn't specify. But the tafsirs, on the other hand, are extremely clear. This means little girls, because if she's a virgin, like if it's just, well, she's too young to have a period, but she's a virgin, obviously that's addressed in 33:49. She doesn't have to wait. Go ahead, get remarried. But this is outside of that. She's not had a period, but she's had sex with her husband already. So that's the one I debate that quite frequently with the tafsir. But what gets me is the minute I give my argument, and I actually have it written up in Word so I can just post it. And it's got links to all of the tafsir in it. And as soon as I sometimes will bring out the argument, wait what they'll say. Oh, well, you're misinterpreting it, and it's, you just want to see the bad and blah, blah, blah. And then I roll out the tafsir, and suddenly, tafsirs are totally infallible. That's just some guy saying that, we don't have to follow. I'm like, really? Come on. You're going to tell me. Yeah.
The tafsirs that you had mentioned, are citing the scholars themselves, even if you get the very good classical ones like Ibn Kathir and Tabari and all these other ones, that there's a reason why they're in a very high position by all of the scholars.
Yes.
So
they've been vetted to the extreme. So
Here's one thing though: if you want a really good one that they cannot refute on that, get something. You don't go to Al Tafsir and look at Ibn Abbas because there's doubts as to whether that was actually written, though.
Right.
Though there are actually stuff that is actually contained in other hadiths. But if it's in a hadith or something, there's a man named Ibn Abbas who was a companion of Muhammad. Hadith. Muhammad supposedly prayed for Allah to grant Ibn Abbas the wisdom of the Quran. So, according to the Islamic theology and even scholars like Mufti Menk, that Ibn Abbas is the greatest tafsir guy to ever walk the face of the earth. He was given direct knowledge from Allah to know what exactly this verse of the Quran meant. So there's some hadith out there, and even some things in like Ibn Kathir in which they have surviving hadiths of what Ibn Abbas said. And when we use that, it shows very interesting things, like Ibn Abbas saying that the earth is flat and that it's fixed on a whale's back.
Yes.
So you could use a lot of interesting stuff by using Ibn Abbas, who was supposedly given the great revelation of what the Quran meant from Allah himself.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. But I'm finding now that I'm reading the stuff, it's a lot of what the bits and pieces that I've heard are making a lot more sense. And it makes a lot more sense reading it in the chronological order, I think. So this is the order that Muhammad presented it in. And it's much more cohesive. Like the parts that I'm reading now, and I have to skip all over the damn place. Like, I have a printout here. So like the very first episode I did, I started at Surah 96 and then it went 68, 73, 74, number 1, and then skipped to 111. But they seem more cohesive. And right now, it's just a whole raft of threats from Allah. Like, and this is where he uses the Bible. Here's Noah, and he was our messenger, and nobody listened to him, and I fucked them all up. And then there was, I think Lot came next, or no, Moses, and he's like, then there was Moses, and Pharaoh and his people didn't listen to him, and he was my messenger, and I fucked them all up. And then there was Lot, and nobody listened to him, and I fucked them all up. And just like everybody. And then there's a couple of, I'm guessing they're Arabic stories. There's people of Thamud is one where, and this is so silly, I forget the name of the messenger from that story, but the messenger goes to the people of Thamud and he says, hey, this camel, she's God's camel, and God says she has to drink from your water. And the people are like, fuck that shit, and they hamstring the damn camel, which I think is abhorrent, but that's what they do. And then God kills them in an earthquake. And I'm like, what? Huh? Like, if somebody came to me and said, this is God's camel, it has to drink. Now, I wouldn't harm the poor animal, but I certainly wouldn't believe them. So it's just threat. But if you think of it in context of a guy hanging out in a cave all day, coming up with this new religion, how do you get a very superstitious people to drop what they've believed for centuries to follow you? Scare the shit out of them, of course.
I was going to say that. Scare them.
Yeah. And that's one thing I
believe I was going to be right on something.
That's one thing I noticed when I got into I read it, and it's been quite some time since I read